everybody. Welcome to Pedal Pushers. This is episode 8. I'm your host, Zach.
And it's Matthew.
It's Matthew time.
Yeah, it's Matthew time.
I thought you were my lackey.
Yeah, well, that was last week.
Oh,
now
okay.
it's just Matthew time.
Lackey
Everybody's
no longer.
getting into their car, and they're firing up the pod whenever they listen to it, and they're going, it's Matthew time.
That's right.
So that's great.
Would it make us any bumper music that you can think of out there, internet land? Let's
We'd
make
love
some,
that. Yeah,
make some tunes.
It'd be fun.
So
What do we got going on this week, brother?
we'll do we catching up, right?
Yeah.
Is that what we do first?
I think so. You always
Yeah.
got to catch up.
There's too many podcasts and too many like routines you have to keep track of.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to have too many hard bits.
That's right.
We can if you want
As
to.
long as we have one good hard bit, then
We've
I
got
think everyone
one
will be-
good hard bit every episode. Everything. Yeah, we can mix it up a little bit. We don't have to do like a hard set schedule for every episode.
Okay.
We can mix it up if we want to.
Sure. Well,
Yes.
how are you?
I'm terrific.
You're always terrific.
I am. And
Yeah.
it is genuine. I am terrific. I feel like I'm the luckiest man on the face of this earth. I have such a great family. I have a wonderful job. My dad and Kathy just moved to Nashville. They got here 2 days ago, and they got their keys to their house today. It's an embarrassment of riches. No one should
Sweet.
have as much of a wonderful life as I do. It's
Man.
really great.
Now that all
It
the
really
listeners
is.
are feeling truly bad about themselves.
I'm just saying that to make people feel bad. I am genuinely a happy person.
Well, good.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm fine. We put our logo on the door.
It's a big deal, man.
That felt like a big deal.
It is.
And just burning through the builds and
Yeah.
this weekend.
Whoa.
Well, by the time this comes out, this will have already happened. But I get to go meet Adam Savage.
That's your guy.
Yeah, so I'm going to the Indianapolis Comic-Con. This all happened really. Was this Monday? It was like
Yes.
Yeah, I found out about it, and then I asked Morgan. I was like, "Can we go to this?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." And so we're driving up. I bought tickets for Saturday.
Yeah.
And I'm going to wait in line and meet him, and then I have like a photo op where we get to take pictures together, or just like one like professional photo.
Yes.
And just going to show Graham and Morgan like a comic convention.
Hey, that'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And
Anybody else of note going to be there that you're interested in?
I mean, Ron Perlman's there,
Hey, that's cool.
which is cool.
Yeah, Ron Pullman's awesome.
I love Hellboy.
Ask him about Beauty and the Beast.
Oh gosh, no,
That was a long time ago.
it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I'm most excited. I mean, obviously to see Adam, but then to like see all the costumes. So
yeah, the cosplay. Yeah.
we're dressing up in full Ghostbuster regalia.
You have to.
So-
Absolutely.
But apart from that, I'm good. I'm just trying to save my money because later this month we're going to Disney for Graham's birthday, so it's going to be an expensive.
Graham already knows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was gonna be a surprise. You were gonna like do like the scared straight thing. You just wake
Yeah.
him up and like, come on, bitch, get in the car. We're going to Disney. But
Yeah.
you told him.
Yeah. I mean, he was sick and like he knew something was going on, so we
Yeah.
just told him.
That's great.
But what do we got this week, Matthew?
Well, there was big news in the guitar world.
Big news.
Yeah, big news here in Nashville because there are,
Big news.
and so we thought we would talk about it because it's on a lot of people's mind is that Cesar has taken over Gibson,
That's right. He is the
interim CEO,
interim CEO, and then what's his other title?
president,
President. Yeah.
and like artist,
No
some,
big
some
deal.
like product development. Like I can't
wanna
remember.
pull up the press
I'm gonna pull
release.
up the press release. So it's a big deal. Back in 2018, I believe it was. I think Cesar and JC kind of came in at the same time.
Yeah.
It was announced that they were going to be the guys that were taking over Gibson, and everybody was excited because we were hoping that we would see a new era, and we would see an industry giant come back to prominence. So
Yeah.
people would be excited about it. And 5 years later, JC is leaving the company, and now Cesar is the undisputed man over at Gibson.
Yeah, and there's no clear indication. I got to open my can because I'm going to throw this
Go
down.
for it.
All right,
Get
here.
in there. Woo! I'll open mine at the same time here. Let's go.
You know how to get the angle.
Well, I am a professional. This is my whole
can
bit. This is my whole thing. It's one of my hard bits. Okay.
So the one thing that no one is too sure about is,
What happened?
why is JC going? And you said, CEO type, maybe he's just ready to do something different.
They just move on.
Yeah.
You know, they just every 5 years they go somewhere. They take a business to where they can get it, and they're ready to tackle something new.
Yeah.
It could be something, and that's as reckless speculation as you can get. We have some friends here and there at Gibson, but we don't know anything that's going on.
Yeah, and like, I think the first inclination most people have is, oh, something bad had to happen.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, like, sometimes it's so much more innocuous than that. It's
Yes.
just boring. Like,
Yes.
Time for something new.
Time for something new.
So
Well, I should know.
yeah, but
But it is fascinating because of the changes that Gibson's made over the last 5 years with those guys at the helm, and then sort of seeing some of the things that Cesar has done recently, and then kind of, again, reckless speculation about what that all means for the future. So I thought that's what we talk about, is kind of recklessly speculate what's happening, and then talk a little bit about what we think this means for Gibson, and then we could talk a little bit about what we would do if we had the keys.
That's right.
To Gibson Guitars.
Yeah, I think the title of this episode should be
If
"We
we-
Bought Gibson?"
Yes.
Question mark.
Question mark. Whoa, that pedal game's stronger than I thought.
Yeah, dang.
We got that cash for Gibson.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Hold on. I gotta go get all the paperwork out of my Bugatti.
Oh man, that was yours.
Yeah. It was.
Nice.
No.
So Zach, reckless speculation. Obviously, we don't know what's going on, but it is interesting to me. I think the most interesting part about it, interim CEO.
Yeah.
Right. So that means he's not taking that job
Right.
yet, unless they decide to just name him full-time CEO at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm reading the press release a little bit, and
Yeah.
so JC was the president and the CEO.
Yes.
But one thing that was interesting is, and we talked about this, is that over the past couple years,
yeah.
like JC was in the forefront.
Yeah.
Well, not entirely, but he was definitely a face that people would recognize as associated with Gibson. And over the past couple of years, he's sort of taken a step back and let Cesar kind of be the face of it, which is, it's like the whole transition's been interesting because it was like, it started strong, and then Mark Agnesi got hired, and that whole situation with the Play Authentic thing happened.
Yes.
And the hostage video.
The hostage video, as I call it, one of the greatest days of my life.
And it seems like, everything else kind of took a step back after that happened. I mean, as it should. But I feel like it was kind of Cesar that took the reins and started becoming the face of
I think he
Gibson.
absolutely does. And I think that's the interesting part about this, is that it does feel a little bit like Cesar is positioning himself as, the undisputed man over at Gibson. Like, you think about the different companies out there that have a guy like that. And, Fender has a CEO who, who's that?
I don't know.
Can't remember his name offhand, but Cesar wants to be visible.
Yeah.
He wants to be out there in front of this whole thing, more like somebody like Paul Reed Smith is.
Right.
And somebody, or any other companies like, John Suhr, or, whoever it is, people that like own companies and then have like that, like, I'm going to do interviews, I'm going to be on videos, Josh Scott over at JHS, and, all these guys.
Me.
Yes, you very much. No matter what size it is, it's a different tactic, right?
Well, and it's something that Gibson has never done before. I mean, Henry was kind of around, but not.
Everybody knows who
capacity.
Ted McCarty is.
Yeah,
but everybody knows that because of Paul Reed Smith.
Yeah, yeah, really.
So it's an interesting sort of play, here that, as Gibson's going forward and is kind of shaping the future of what Gibson Guitars is going to be, that you could, follow Cesar on Instagram and have a good idea of what's going on.
Yeah,
I mean, about products before they get launched if you follow Cesar.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he teases everything. The man is a sieve of information. It's terrific. And obviously he doesn't have to ask anybody, probably. Well, now he definitely doesn't.
No.
But it is like, it's an interesting thing, which I think, to me, as a business person and somebody that's run a guitar company and is looking to where things are going in the future, you got to have somebody that is that person.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I was that person for Novo.
Yeah.
And that was an obvious thing, and people knew that. And I think that, that's sort of, where Cesar sees himself, and I think it's a good move for them.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think that it makes a lot of sense because, I mean, what Cesar has done in the past year or so has definitely been, like a refocusing a bit on like what he's interested in. And
yes.
I mean, like, I think
go through that a little bit.
So like to do like the abbreviated version of everything that happened, you know, they kind of nixed a lot of the lineup that Gibson had.
It's very tight now.
Yeah. And they really slimmed everything down to be a concise, you know, there's the vintage things, and I guess they're still doing some of the modern.
There's a few Les Pauls, but not much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what Cesar has been doing recently is trying to push all of the like heavy metal and hard rock crowd
Yes.
into the forefront, which, you know, Gibson has done in the past with Slash and you know, all, I mean, they've used all these people in marketing campaigns before,
Sure.
but now like they're getting signature guitars and, you know, Epiphone and Gibson models and all this stuff.
Yes.
But it kind of seems like his main focus is just pushing up the things he really likes, which is good. And someone has to do that. But it's been an interesting thing to watch from the outside in part of the community, because all people seem to be talking about is the fact that it's the Dave Mustaine, Kirk Hammett. I mean, it's always
Adam Jones. So much Adam Jones.
Yeah, Adam. I mean, it's really those guys, because like Slash is still there and they're doing.
Of course.
But Slash will forever be.
You know,
in that camp.
he's a mainstay.
But it, you know, like there's been a kind of a shift in, you know, where when I had money to buy Gibsons.
Yes.
It was all about only a Gibson is good enough. That was like the marketing campaign, and it was just like this heritage and this history factor.
Yes.
And then Slash, and then that was kind of it.
Yeah.
And now,
there would be new guys, like there's tons of Joe Bonamassa stuff.
Oh, and Joe, of course.
Don't forget Joe. But I do think that there's a difference between like doing like kind of the 50s and 60s guys versus kind of zeroing in on like the late 70s and 80s, like pre-Slash era, like this, and not necessarily when that music came out, but the guitars that those guys played.
Yeah.
Because all the Adam Jones stuff is all Norlin era Silverburst stuff.
Yeah.
And like Cesar loves that stuff. And like that's stuff that people would have ignored or said it was too heavy and it's sandwich bot, you know, all the things that you hear about those guitars.
It only mattered if it was like the thing that Adam Jones or like Randy Rhoads or Ace Frehley played.
And sort of bringing those back to the forefront, I think is an interesting thing. But I think it is like, it's very obvious because, you know, Cesar will post a lot of videos of himself playing, and he's playing Metallica riffs and Megadeth riffs, and he's you know, doing concerts, and he's on stage all the time. It's like but it is a very much like kind of getting away from I would say blues dad, and being hard rock and heavy metal. It's still not modern. It's still it's still vintage acts. It's still like legacy acts, but it's more, you know, focused on a very specific kind of thing.
And it's interesting to see that because, you know, I think a lot of people, I mean, it's the same trend of, you know, when we are getting into this age that we're at now in our late 30s and early to mid 40s, like we're starting to see stuff that's appealing to us because marketing people know, like, we're coming into the point of our lives where we're able to afford
some of this stuff.
But it's, you know, all that to say, you know, they still have Gibson Custom, which is only really appealing to the, you know, the cork sniffers and stuff like me.
Yes. I mean, they're still making as many R9s as they can.
Oh yeah.
And that is for all those guys. And they still make the signature models of most of the heavy hitters that they've done over the years.
Yeah. For the most part, I guess.
For the most part.
I mean, like
they just had a big BB King one come out. As well.
Yeah. And they did a Chuck Berry one a few years ago. So like they've had all the classic.
Yeah, and I don't think that means that Cesar is going to ignore that stuff.
No, and I mean, like, let's face it, like, take away the Kirk Hammett aspect of the Greenie Les Paul. I think that launch, say what you will, like, you know, it was insanely expensive.
It was insane.
Because it could be. Like, let's face it, that's the only reason that guitar cost that much. Like Brazilian rosewood, I'm sure cost a little bit more.
Yeah.
But
you're pricing it because you're seeing what can I get for this?
Yeah.
What are people willing to pay?
Mm-hmm. And it was a package, and you got to meet Kirk, and you got to like do a thing, and that's awesome.
That's really cool.
But to me, that's, even though that has been Kirk's guitar for some time now, it's still like people moan about it, like oh, they only care. But you know, Cesar and everyone there knows that's still Gary Moore's guitar and Peter Green's guitar.
Of course.
So like,
well, they're all the names are on the case.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I'm sure that's how the case probably is. Yeah. The real case is probably sprayed. Yeah. And it is funny. I think so. As good a job as they did on that guitar. Yes. The case still kind of like the printing on it. I wish they just spray painted it.
Like actually spray painted it? Like have somebody do that?
Yeah, like made a proper like stencil, because you know they didn't make that many, and I feel like they should have like made a proper stencil, spray painted it, and then distressed that, because the printing on it looks too nice. It looks too nice. It doesn't look.
That's funny.
Spray painted. but
detail man over here.
I mean, I don't know. Like if you're gonna go, I'm just saying, if you're going that mile, like. You know, you get a can of Krylon, that's like, that probably would do all those cases, you know?
Somebody could knock that out pretty quick. You got a lot of guys working over at the Gibson
factory. They got vinyl
factory.
cutters. I know they do.
They can do that. So let's talk a little bit about, like, you know, what does this mean for the future of Gibson? What have you seen from Cesar? Like, how do you feel about it? Like, a big, you know, thing that was the big important thing when he took over with JC 5 years ago was quality.
Yeah.
Right. That they got, like, everybody's like, Gibsons are not top tier. There's quality issues, this and that. Like, I feel like I don't hear about that as much anymore. Am I wrong there?
No, I think there's still that black mark on the brand. I don't know if they'll ever recover from it. And I think most of it is bullshit.
Oh, there you go.
I think, you know, you're judging these people that are saying all this stuff. Are going to a Guitar Center, probably, or Sam Ash, or some big box music store, where the guitar has been hanging for God knows how long, played by who knows how many people, and like that,
so many times, Sweet Child of Mine.
Yeah, and it will mess them up. Yeah. Now, granted, there's finishing issues, there's little things, but like Fender's not perfect either. Yeah. The only company I think that can really say, as far as like a mass production scale, that can say they're perfect is Paul Reed Smith. Like,
you think so?
From guitar to guitar, like I don't know if
like at a size of that, because I'd say Collings, but they don't make nearly as many guitars as those other guys do. Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, to be fair, like the majority of like the Gibson USA Les Pauls, which are set neck mahogany maple cap guitars, are $27.99. Yeah. Which that would be at least $1,500 more if you wanted a PRS. That was that style of guitar.
Oh yeah,
like a McCarty or a single cut 594 is like $4,300.
Yeah, yeah,
for like minimum.
Yeah, for a
so that
model.
Price is really good.
Yeah,
if you get a good one.
Yeah, and I do think that there
trademark Red Shell if you get a good one.
I mean, I do think that there are you know, every brand has problems, but when you're producing that many guitars, I think for the most part, they're making great stuff. And I was at a Guitar Center once. Yeah. This was after the new Slash ones had come out, and he had done like this finish in like a red burst. Yeah. I think it was like, you know, one of the Snake Pit style guitars. And this guy was like, "Oh, look at this. This finish work is terrible." And it had sunken into the flame, which like nitro can do that. You know, if it's not cured fast enough or long, you know, it will sink. And I mean, old ones did that sometimes. Like if you look at a vintage gold top, you can see the flame because the finish is like kind of sunk into it. And like he was just going on. I was like, dude, that's just finish sink. Like these things happen. It's not like Gibson's crap. It's just like, it's a normal part of guitar production. Yeah. And he was like, you know, but like, I don't know. And I understand for a lot of people, anything over the $2,000 mark, it's a lot of money.
It is.
But Gibsons have always been that much money when adjusted for inflation. A 1959 Les Paul, which, by the way, didn't come with a case. Didn't even come with a bag. It was a guitar. It was just a guitar. A guitar with a case was like $350, and when adjusted is around $2,800.
There you go.
So
keeping the price consistent.
I mean, like, I don't know, but I think they've gotten over that stigma quite a bit.
I just don't think I hear about it nearly as much, whether it's true or not, whether it was just sort of marketing that they said they were going to improve things and that they did. But, you know, and I've played a decent amount of new ones that have come around, and they're all pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't played a bad one in a long time.
No, and even in the end of the Henry J era, I don't think I played many that were like outright bad.
Yeah.
You know, but I think what they're doing is good, and they're pushing the direction of the quality of the guitars.
I think that, and then also the simplification. Like, if you go onto the website, I think it's pretty easy to understand like what you would want to get if you got something. Like, everything is like the cost of it, why it costs that much, for the most part. You know, if it's not like a custom shop artist model kind of thing where there's a big price bump. But, you know, for the most part, I think that works. Is it's simplified, and it's kind of easy to follow, which I really like.
Yeah, and I think what they've done, stripping all the models back, has been the thing that everyone was asking for.
Yeah,
and that's just really, really smart. But moving on.
Yeah. So what else for the future of Gibson? Like, what else do you think? Like, what I want to get into is like not what you would do, but what do you think is going to happen based on what Cesar's been doing? Like, what's next? What do you think is going to happen?
I don't. You know, that's the thing that feels so up in the air to me, because I don't know. Like, I think they're going to do. I think kind of going back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
The Greenie was a proof of concept, and I think we're going to see
more of those.
More of that. Basically, a resurgence of the collector's choice thing that trickles down to where maybe they'll do, because like the production run Greenie is like $3,000, and it's essentially a Les Paul standard faded.
Yes, no pick guard,
and like matte finish.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I assume that's going to be the trend we see beginning, like,
so like if you pick another famous Les Paul,
you know, pearly gates,
and then do a same thing, a big fancy one, and then kind of keep going until you can buy a production kind of version of that guitar.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, but I think, you know, the biggest thing like that I can think about is just the things I hope to see, but what they're going to do, I feel like that's really up in the air.
Well, here's something that I think that we've talked about before, and I know this is always a big topic for people that bring up Gibson is, you know, and this, you know, could be seen as a knock on Cesar's focusing so much on artists, and especially artists whose heyday was a while ago.
Yeah.
Knowing and how does Gibson get new players in there that aren't a fan of any of these guys? Now they're making new fans all the time, right?
Sure. Yeah,
you know
of course.
What I mean? And you know, these bands are still selling out arenas and stadiums wherever they go. So, you know, obviously they've got to have new fans in order to do that. But, you know, that's always a knock on them, is that like, who are young people playing Gibsons? Do they like Gibsons? Like, how do they go about that?
Yeah. And that's the thing that I don't know if, because the only lens I can look at this through is through my own history as a guitar player. And I remember for me, because I grew up adoring all this music that my father loved, and even that was happening at the time, like Gibson and to a lesser extent PRS were like this upper echelon that you only could dream and aspire to.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's going to be the case for the majority of guitarists coming up right now, because so many players that are popular aren't really playing Gibson. I mean, not to say that, you know, Metallica or Joe Bonamassa aren't popular, but in the grand scheme of things, the influencers of pop culture and music typically aren't playing Gibsons.
Well, but I think this is another, you know, huge part of this conversation, which is that who are the needle movers when it comes to selling gear? Yeah. And there isn't really necessarily a lot of big ones, you know, playing stuff for those other, you know, brands either.
Yeah. I mean, it's only John Mayer. I mean,
crickets.
Taylor Swift, maybe.
Taylor Swift's playing Gibsons on this tour.
Okay. She's playing Gibson
acoustics. Yeah, she's playing lots of Gibson acoustics on this tour.
I mean, I don't know who are the guitar players that
Yeah. So that's always something that I think about, where it's like, hey, just go ahead and make sure that the next person that has like pop culture stardom and is also a guitar player plays Gibson. Like, just go ahead and do that, Cesar. Figure that out. When it's like, that is something that is incredibly difficult. I mean, the Slash fell in their lap 40 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Which, you know, like, that's the kind of thing that, like, you know, you can't plan.
No.
And you can see people out there and you can go, I want to be a part of that. I need to get in there. I'm going to go hunt that person down and say, I need this person playing my guitars, because I think, you know, you could try.
Yeah.
But, you know, I do think, though, that, like, if you look at some of the other brands like Fender or PRS, it's like you can throw a lot of weight into people that are, even if they're not all the way there in popularity, because it looks good to, like, have some new blood.
Yeah. And I think that is something that all the other brands are doing really well. You know, that up and coming artists, just talented musicians, can get some sort of sponsorship. I mean, you know, I think I'm so happy that McKinley now has this thing with Ernie Ball.
Yes.
And, like, you know, he's gigging, but he is not currently a full-time musician, but yet he has this artist agreement with one of the most recognizable guitar companies in the world. So I think those are the things that Gibson needs to do, because one of the things that we've seen, or that I've seen recently in the YouTube space, is a push from, like, other companies really trying to get people to play their gear, and the one that I see the most is Heritage.
I've seen them pop up way more.
Yeah, and it's because they're doing a really serious, you know, marketing push.
They got a lot of cash behind that brand too.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what it's going to take, and it makes sense. I mean, the only bad thing about Heritage is a lot of people who might not know would immediately confuse it for a Gibson. So maybe Gibson doesn't have to worry about it too much.
Smoky bar.
I mean, honestly, you know, you see an H150.
Yeah.
If you don't know,
maybe this is just, you know, I follow GibsonGuitar.com. I mean, Gibson Guitar. I try to follow all the accounts that I possibly can, and they might be, like, you know, posting about younger artists that are using their stuff, and I'm just, you know, doom scrolling all the time, and I'm not noticing it. So I'm not accusing them of that. I just think that there's, like, I mean, that's like, it's like kind of a putting a cart before the horse thing. Like, how do you kind of get in there and make this a big deal, either before they're a big deal or you're part of helping make them a big deal? Yeah.
That's, right? I mean, that's got to be such a huge focus for a brand, and something that, I mean, maybe we need to look at more as a pedal company. But So I've had conversations with Cesar. I've talked to him multiple times, but I hung out with him and Rhett at the Gibson Garage. And one of the things that I was talking about was, you have to be able to market to these people who don't necessarily want to play their father's guitar or their grandfather's guitar. And you know, and he was saying, well, we got these new people, like, you know, and it was naming some artists. I'm like, yeah, that's great. But those are all people playing their father or their grandfather's, especially if these are younger kids, style music. So,
yes,
you know, how do you...
I see what you're saying. So they're playing, their music is vintage.
I mean, like Marcus King, young artist, talented artist, plays Gibsons. But, like, if you heard that, like, I heard a Marcus King song at Edley's and was like, what is this old, you know, rock and roll song? Like, I don't know.
Which might be a compliment to him.
Well, I mean, it is, but also, like, I think that Gibson, I mean, maybe is this getting into the what unsolicited and shitty advice would we give Cesar?
Yes.
I think they really need to focus on creating those instruments, that something probably new or something that they haven't done in a long time, and market it to these up and comers.
That is the $1 million question, and something that I think I always go back to with Fender and Gibson is, like, how do you come up with something new that isn't going to be just absolutely laughed out of existence?
Right. Yeah.
Whoa. Jeez.
Whoa.
I just
I felt that from over here.
Yeah. Sorry about that, everybody. But how do you do that? I think Gibson has a way harder time than Fender has at this.
Well, and
Fender does come out with some wacky stuff every once in a while.
They do.
And sometimes it's stinky and everyone's like, yeah. And then sometimes they can kind of stick around. But nothing that's going to like break through the core, guitar vibes that we've got.
Right.
Like, what's like the last,
Well, I've talked about this so many times, and I talked about this to Cesar, where I said, you need to bring back the Melody Maker series and make them cool, because they were cool, and that there's the Les Paul style, the double cut, the weird double cut that has like an eggy body, and then the SG, and those Melody Makers basically have like a Mustang style pickup. Yeah. Because what Fender did is like they took their Mustang style guitars and just made them simpler. They got that atrocious bridge off of it. Short scale fans, come at me. I don't care. The bridge sucks. They put, like a P90 model, like all that. They made these simple, like stripped down guitars that
painted them all like banana yellow.
Yeah, they paint them bright colors. And I think that's kind of what Gibson needs to do. And Cesar, to his credit, he said it won't cost us any different to make a Melody Maker guitar in America versus making like a Les Paul Jr. And I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Because like the cost of manufacturing that guitar is nil, like in comparison to something that these people might not want.
Yeah.
And is already priced at a point when you're trying to make something that you would argue is a budget, more beginner, entry level model for a heritage brand like this.
So let me flip the script just slightly and say, what would be the problem if Cesar just says, rock and roll had its run, 1954 to 2004.
Yeah.
I'm just going to, and I do pick 2004 for a reason, but I don't know if this show's long enough for me to get into it because I have theories on everything.
Well, maybe we'll have
an episode about Matthews. But 1954, Bill Haley in the comments, Rock Around the Clock till 2004, American Idiot, and the iPod. Right.
Okay.
So that's the difference, right? And rock and roll just does it. We love it. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of great bands still making music, still touring, but pop culture wise, it's dead.
Oh yeah.
It's not penetrating things.
It's the soundtrack to commercials and like crappy
But
TV
it's
shows.
not. It's not. So the point is that if you're Cesar and you're saying, I'm stewarding this ship and I need Gibson to be as profitable and as solid as possible, yes, you have to start thinking about the future on what this looks like. But also if you're like, wow, like there's millions of people that want these guitars that are made from 1954, or that listen to rock and roll from that era. To now, like if I focus on giving those people what they want and saying this is what people want out of Gibson, like how long is it until that well runs dry?
Well, that's kind of like going back to the video that Rhett made about like what happens to all these vintage guitars when the boomers die, in a way. Because I mean, this is like not as extreme of a thought.
It's when Jim Irsay dies.
Oh man. But when like our parents are gone, like our age folks are going to be the last hope probably to keep those sort of things in rotation, because like, I don't know.
Well, I think it's an interesting thing because you and that is the question, whether or not you can spend the time and the money that it would take to try to innovate.
Right. And
come up with new models and new designs and new things to market all kinds of new people. Or if you go, what you like a Sunburst Les Paul.
Well,
and I'm going to make several versions of it at several different price points, and you buy the one that you want.
Well, and I don't think that Gibson can ever get away from that. I don't think they could ever stop making Sunburst Les Pauls, and nor should they. But I do think that they need to reach back in their catalog because they have some really cool shapes, shapes that a lot of people are making copies of and are doing well, and they're popular. The Dunable stuff is very much a Gibson RD.
Yeah.
They made the Victory guitar, which is like their Super Strat, and it's like an offset like big cutaway, but a really cool guitar shape. And like there's potential to pull from that back catalog, which they've shown they want to do. I mean, there's been, you know, like, of course, there's a satellite lawsuit about the cornet Epiphone thing, and then they released their own, which is like, you know, I don't know. I get it. That was their shape, whatever. You know, I know it's a fight about a name and all this stuff, but, you know, whatever. But at the end of the day, they're going to have to do something to be able to appeal to a new audience. And hopefully that audience, if you know, if they make these guitars, will then say, you know what, maybe I do need that Les Paul. Maybe I do need that Explorer.
Well, yeah, SG. I mean, that is always the hope is that you start them out at the you know, lower priced one, and then they get used to playing that style guitar. I mean, I still go back to, you know, Matthew looking at Musician's Friend catalogs and staring at it and seeing the Mexican Strat, which was $299, and then the Les Paul I think was $399. Or maybe it was an Epiphone Les Paul, and going like, oh man, which one am I going to get?
Right.
You're like, oh, Les Paul's expensive, man.
Yeah.
And they had like a Heritage Cherry Sunburst and a gold top and a black or ebony, whatever they call it.
That's it.
And that was it. And it was great, right? And like that's a fateful choice that will, like, you know, set you down on a path, you know, depending on you know, how your playing goes. But so I think it's like, but then you know, as the guitar manufacturer brain clicks on, and I start thinking, okay, you introduce a new body shape, and then now I got to have new tooling, right, to do for the CNCs, and then I got to have tooling that holds all those things. And every step, I'm like, fuck, that's expensive.
Right,
that's really expensive. Like, do I really want to do that? Like, I got to be sure. Maybe at Custom Shop I can make the wacky Ted McCarty teardrop guitar that they made, whatever that was. What do they call it? The tulip looking one, the Theo.
Yeah.
Right. You can make a limited run because you can do it at Custom Shop where it's maybe not as expensive to kind of get something new rolling down the pike, but like it's like that's where my brain goes. I'm like, oh, that sounds expensive, and I got to be sure that people are going to buy this thing if I'm going to invest in doing all of that in order to produce something that we don't have on the floor right now.
Well, maybe this should move into the last bullet point of the topic is if we ran Gibson, if we bought Gibson tomorrow, which I mean, like, let's face it, we could.
I got $20.
Yeah. I could pitch in at least $200.
I got $5 on it.
Like what? So you go first. What would you do? This is money's no object. This is you creating the company that you think that Gibson should be.
I mean, I truly, you know, and this isn't ass kissy in case you fire my ass and I gotta go talk to Cesar and say, hey Cesar, what's up, bro? But I really do think that he's on the right path with it, which I think is like tripling down on, you know, sort of like finding the artists that people associate with, you know, Gibson, and then also bring some people back. Yeah. That, like, you know, maybe really want to be playing Gibsons and then got a little disillusioned with things, right? You know, the guy that they're working with a lot now, like Mark Morton from Lamb of God, is a great example of that, right? Which is like anybody of that age is going to be like Les Pauls. Yeah. Everybody does, right? It's like, it's just ingrained in there, right? And he's off playing, you know, I think his signature Jackson guitar that they made for him. And now he's just playing like vintage shit. Yeah. You know, he's got a Badlander and he's got that. And I think that, you know, if Cesar sort of pushes himself into the forefront as a guy who's doing artist relations and is a guy that you want to talk to, he's a point man that cares, that, you know, that's what I would do. Like, because I am that person. Like, I am a metal fan. Like, I've got my bona fides. Like, so if I ran it, like, I would do it where it's like, you know, my first call would be James, and I would figure out how to make it happen. Because it's like, yes, he's played ESP for a long time, but like the So What guitar was an 84 Explorer, and, you know, Cesar took care of that this week.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I got a text message and it distracted my mind.
Oh my God! But they did the '80s Explorer, not in white yet,
not yet,
but it's coming.
We hope.
He said it was coming.
Oh, he did.
Later this year in a comment. Yeah, Cesar did. So I would somehow make that happen, right? And I know it's like, again, it's another dinosaur of the industry. The guy's been recording for 40 years, but you have to, like, I think if you make good and you've got people happy out there playing Gibsons, and like the family grows in that way, where these people like you and they trust you and the guitars are quality and they can recommend them and all that stuff. I think it's like, that's where you've got to start. And then, you know, if I was trying to figure out kind of counter what Fender's doing, because Fender, let me give you an example of this. As somebody that was running a guitar company and looking and doing bolt-on, just similar energy to what Fender was doing. Every single time I saw a new artist and I'm like, oh, that person's interesting. Yeah. Already had a video with Fender. Mm-hmm. Every single time.
Oh, yeah.
Every single time. They are maniacal at this.
Yeah.
And I think it's good. I think you have to, kind of go down that road a little bit and say, like, how do I do that? Like, how do I do that to where it's a little spray and pray? Yeah. Where you're like, I just need this to be, and with the Gibson Garage and having some a hub for artists and people to come and do different things, I think they're already on the way with that. But I think it's sort of like never really thinking that you're gonna hit on somebody that's gonna be like, wow, like this person's gonna sell. Like, sure. Is her for Fender like selling a lot of guitars?
I think it was like, I think her model.
Is it her or HER?
I have no idea. I don't know.
We're so old.
I don't even know what the music sounds like.
Excuse me again. Oh my
god. But I know that guitar was selling well.
Yeah.
I don't know why I know that, but I read it. But I mean, I don't know. Like they're really, like you said, they're spraying and praying, and I think it's kind of what you have to do.
You have to do that. And if you have the money to do that, and you're hoping.
Well, yeah.
But it's like, if it's sort of like.
But to be fair, a lot of their guitars, like the only one I can think of that's not really, that's changed is the Corey Wong Strat body's kind of smaller. But most of the time it's just a color way.
Yeah.
And it's not hard. Like,
yeah. You're not doing anything crazy.
Yeah.
Because but I think that then this is the inherent difficulty. If I'm sitting here with Gibson and I want to do a SIG with somebody, it's like, yeah, but you can't really touch the guitar.
Yeah.
Like I can do pickups and I can do this and I could do that, but you're not, like I can't change anything.
Yeah, it's just neck shape and finish.
Yeah,
basically.
Which is it hinders you. So I'm sort of like necessarily like not necessarily worried about too much. I mean, maybe it's just you're just riding it out, right?
Yeah.
Like you're just like, these are our artists. We're gonna make good with everybody that's played Gibsons, and like whoever has strayed, whoever should be playing Gibsons, we're gonna go in there and say like, you're not, get rid of all that stuff. You're playing this. I don't know how I would do that. I would charm them.
Yeah.
It's Matthew time.
You give them the donut.
Oh man, chocolate donuts always work on me. And I would just, I'd run it into the ground until there wasn't anybody left that wanted to buy a Gibson, because it's all crusty old men shit.
Yeah.
But it's like, I just, it's just that pop culture gambit. It's just, it's not there. So it's like, fuck, how do you even deal with that?
Well,
you're running Gibson now. I just rambled forever.
I think I would do very similar things, but the one thing I would want to do is kind of copy what PRS has done with the S2 line.
Interesting.
And have a more affordable line that's still American made. Mm-hmm. I think this is if money was no object. I think it would require, and this is why they should have never sold Memphis. They have a whole nother production facility that they could have utilized. But anyway, I feel like if that became your way of making instruments that were more accessible, more just affordable.
What would be the difference from that and like the Les Paul like studio guitars?
Well, so I would
some
want
of the other ones that they've done over the years that they offer right now.
Well, I think it needs to be all new shapes. It needs to be all new stuff, like in affordable, like simple stripped back.
So it's
guitars.
Clearly it's different.
Yeah,
it's not a shittier version.
No,
because I mean, no offense, but like that's kind of what they are.
Yeah, I mean,
you have the Les Paul standard, and everything underneath is just kind of not exactly what you want.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they've gone away with a lot of that, because it is because there was the traditional and the traditional pro, and then the studio, and then the T. There's like so many different models. Like, who can keep up with that?
Yeah.
But I think you make melody makers, you make them in the bright Gibson colors, because Gibson, they have way more than Sunburst. They have done incredibly vibrant bright colors, and you do simple 1-2 pickup models that can appeal to a ton of players, and you bring back something that's going to kind of eat into the Fender camp, because I think that's where they're getting killed. Is like they don't have a solid single coil option. Everything that is single coil is P90, and it's it's still very loud, and P90 is, the output is no different than a humbucker, so it's not given a lot of people that want to play a lot of the very popular guitar music, this like neo soul thing. Like you can do it on a humbucker, and people do, but most time you see these people playing Strats, Silver Skies, Jazz Masters, Jaguars. Sure. And so I think if I was running the show, I would try to set up some sort of facility to make those guitars and make them as affordable and accessible as possible, while being a little bit louder. Maybe try not to alienate all the old guard, but bring in younger people who want to play something that has a little bit more simplicity and just a bolder look to it. Yeah. I think that's what they should do, or that's what I would do.
That's what you would do.
Yeah. And I've talked about a lot those guitars coming back, but I never thought of the S2 thing until recently.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing. I think that if you see S2 guitars, right away that it's different than the core line, that they make them specifically differently, but quality-wise, I don't think that they're any different than
the only thing they do
stuff.
is
it's a different carve.
Well, the carve's different, and the electronics are imported, but I don't think it detracts from them at all. I think the S2 stuff, if you can get past some of the simplicity in the body stuff, they're great. They're great guitars, and I think Gibson could and should do something.
And I know that like in the past, one of my things that I always said that was a problem I thought with Gibson, or at least couldn't always be a problem, is that if you're making guitars in a factory and you're making a bunch of different stuff, if there is a quality difference and a major price difference, then it can screw with your quality overall, because everybody needs to be trained exactly the same way. So you basically have to figure out how to make them less expensive without doing anything. It's just by feature-wise being different, and not necessarily like, well, that one's okay because it's only $7.99. Like they got real low. They made some USA stuff that was like real cheap.
Yeah, they brought back it. I don't know if it was exactly the Melody Maker or something, but it was kind of like that. And oh man, they were bad. They were rough. Really bad.
Yeah, I remember those.
The finish was bad. The pickups were really bad. They were just using some like cheap Epiphone stuff. And like, I mean, Epiphones, I mean, we haven't even talked about it, but they're so much better than they were. But I don't know. It's a fine line to walk, but I think you could walk it.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, that's sort of where we're at, It's this is a really interesting job for Cesar to figure out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that based on 5 years ago, I think Gibson's in a better place.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's good. And the thing I've always said about this is that, it's the classic rising tide lifts all boats. I need Gibson to kick ass, because Gibson kicks ass. That's better for everybody in the industry, because it's such a big name and they have such a force, and they're, if they can do big things and do really good things, it's just good for everybody.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, let's
waiting for that phone call.
Yeah. If you have guys, if you ever need any advice, we're right here.
We can leave a voicemail. We'll give you advice.
Yeah, leave us a voicemail on our Anchor website.
We will answer any question about anything.
Yeah, Cesar, he's got my Instagram thing. Yeah. I send him messages and he thumbs up sometimes.
Like Cesar.
But no, I'm excited. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's do our first ad read.
I'm ready.
Here we go.
Are you going to read it or am I going to read it?
We'll find out.
All right. Wow, that was great.
Wasn't that good?
That was so good.
I don't know if I've ever heard anyone do a better ad read than that.
It was the best. You or I did incredible.
Well, yeah. It is yet to be seen. Well,
what do we got next, buddy?
We got What Are You Buying?
What are you buying? What are you selling? All right. I already talked about this.
Oh, yeah.
But Gibson reissued the 80s Explorer, right? And they put it out in every color that you could possibly imagine, as long as it's black.
The Henry Ford model.
The Henry Ford model, which is rad. Everybody in the known universe wants the white one.
I know.
And so so this is the Cesar thing. We just talked about him for 30 minutes. What's he fucking thinking, dog?
I don't know.
What's the deal?
It's an odd thing. It's an odd thing to only do the black. I mean, like
I have theories.
I think it's a test of concept. Like, are these going to sell? Yeah, I think they will. I think they'll sell really well.
Yeah.
But
what are the differences? What makes it an 80s Explorer instead of?
There's no pickguard.
There's no pickguard.
The controls are a little
different.
Check mark down near the bottom.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And it's got Grover tuners.
Mm-hmm. I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, I think the original would have had an ebony board. This one's got a rosewood board. A lot of people were moaning about that. You just buy you some what do I use? Fret Doctor.
Yeah.
And you rub it on there.
Rub it on there, and it's going to be good.
Dark as midnight.
So, yeah, I here's my thing. This is my conspiracy theory. They got James.
No.
And they got him.
No, they didn't get him. They
come
didn't
on.
get him.
I'm sorry.
No. If they got James, he would be playing Gibsons more.
Well, they just played their first show of the tour.
Yeah.
72 Seasons tour, and he was not playing any Gibsons.
He's playing his Electra V.
His Electra V, and he's got his ESPs.
His ESPs.
Yeah, his Vulture and his Snake Bite.
Mm-hmm.
Couple other things. Some custom, style Explorers that he plays.
But that wood one that's all pointy, they played on S&M.
Yep.
Who made that?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Why do I not know that? I know the name. You say the name, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be like, I know the name of the guy who made
Gooberson.
Doug Gooberson. No, but in the recording of this record, he did play the So What 84 Explorer.
Yeah.
And so, of course my main brain goes straight to they're going to make a bigger deal about it because they got James on board. But I think you're probably right. They just wanted to how many can we sell? We'll sell way more black ones if it's the only one, and then we'll sell all the white ones when we come out with them.
Yeah.
Right.
It's exciting. When I saw it, I sent it to you and we were like, my God. And I think that it's a good move. Because so many people have wanted that guitar. And Epiphone made one for a minute.
Yeah.
They made the 84 model, and it's not exactly right. And apparently this one, according to the
internet
dweebs.
The internet sleuths. Well, somebody put a side by side, and they showed how the body shape is different.
Yeah.
And my answer to that is the same about Gibson doing more body shapes is it's already done. If they have an Explorer body shape, unless it's significantly different to where people are like, it's actively distracting, then they're not going to change it because it costs so much money.
The old one looks a little like a little bit smaller waisted or something. I don't know. I looked at one. I was like, it looks a little different.
Yeah.
But who cares?
Yeah.
So what?
So what exactly? That's it. But I do think though that there is some speculation that there will be, even if James isn't on board, a custom shop version that they're gonna the white will have a custom shop version.
No way.
Yeah.
No, they can't do that without his permission.
No, but they won't put his name on it.
Just make a relict Murphy Lab 84.
Yes, and it'll look exactly like it. Except
Dirty Fingers or EMGs or
I don't think they'll put EMGs on it.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Go all the way and just not put his name on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Put his set in it.
Well, that's what I'll do anyway. But I want one. Obviously, continuing down my path of just only playing Metallica riffs.
Right.
And that's I will be waiting patiently for the white one to come out.
Well, what you selling?
Everything?
Yeah.
God, I'm so lazy.
Get out of it.
I know. People just need to come to the shop and then offer me cash because then maybe I'll sell stuff. I'm just busy. I get no time to myself at all. I just got all the family stuff. I need to take a good work day where I come here and you don't pay me and I just work.
Sweet. Let's do more of that.
And I don't work on anything Mythos and I just get take pictures and get all my stuff organized.
That's the hard thing. The hardest thing is just getting the photos and thinking of the copy you want to write.
Everybody's seen my Instagram. If you've seen something you want, just send me a message and maybe I'll sell it to you.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. What are you buying?
Like you,
yes, we're obsessed right now.
Yeah, you've I go through seasons of music,
yep.
Which is ironic using that term, but I'm in a Metallica mode.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted it, and I need to get one. I want one of the Kirk Hammett guitars.
Yes, you should. Hell
and
yeah.
There's currently there's the 202, which is the import LTD.
Yeah.
There's a 602, which is set neck. And then there's the KH2, which is the ESP, Japanese, full fat, expensive, really expensive. And I don't know if I want to pony up the money for that, because this is a whoa.
I'm so sorry, man.
You sound like that seismic bomb in Attack of the Clones.
I need a burp bomb. Hey, may the fourth be with you.
But I think this is like an itch scratching guitar, right?
Yeah.
In more ways than one. There's some points on it, so I can really get.
We're going full pointy right now.
That's right.
With all our guitars.
So I want to get the 502.
Okay.
Which is set neck, but
yes,
they only have the little skulls on the 12th fret.
Okay.
Because I do think Kirk's black guitar, his double cut super strat thing with the Floyd and the EMGs.
Yeah, the caution hot guitars.
The caution hot guitar, yeah.
Yeah.
The skull inlays.
Yeah.
They're a bit goofy.
Yeah.
There was like the KH25, which was like an anniversary guitar that was distressed and had the caution hot sticker. It actually had skulls that are a little bit more mean looking.
Yeah.
But the ones on the normal guitars are a little bit, they're a little soft. They don't have any teeth. You know, it's just
you want meaner skulls?
It's like an upside down pear with eyes and two dog bones. And it's just not like you see that and you're like, Jolly Roger. Oh yeah, cool, mean. And you get real close and you're like, oh, that doesn't look like anything. So the 502 doesn't have that. It just has dots except at the 12th fret.
So that's a little more palatable.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
So basically I want to get that. And then I know what'll happen. I'll get it and I'll go, oh, I hate this. The neck, I'll just hate it. But I
just need to get it out of your system.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to buy one, but I also haven't played a proper Kirk Hammett guitar in
years?
15 years. Like it's been a long time because I've been playing guitar since I was 15. Yeah. So I'm 38. Mm-hmm. So how long is that? 20.
Well, when did you last play one?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how long I've played guitar.
23 years.
23 years.
Yeah.
I feel like
it's actually funny. That's how long I've been playing guitar.
Weird.
Yeah.
I feel like the last time I actually got one off a rack and tried it.
Yeah.
I was playing it at Sam Ash on a trip with my dad, so I didn't even drive. So that it might have been like 20 years ago. So I had no idea what I was doing.
But we're gonna go play one.
We're gonna go. Is that next weekend?
Yeah, next Friday.
If it's in stock, I need to make sure. I need to message them and say, "Hey."
Well, we want to play everything they've got.
Yeah, we're going to Guitars to be Played.
Yeah, they do not have a storefront here in Nashville yet.
Yeah,
but we're gonna go check their stuff out.
Yeah. But then selling, I don't know. I'm going to sell that Dr. Z amp. I'm just going to lose my shirt over it.
Yeah.
Well,
it'll go to a good home. You did a lot of work to get it up and running again.
It sounds awesome. It's just like I have too much stuff. And I want to offset this guitar. I want to buy this guitar. So if anyone out there has one and want to trade for a Dr. Z, holler at me.
Let's go.
Something we've already teased.
Yes.
Multiple times.
Yeah, because you posted about it on the internet, on a gram, right?
On the gram.
And then we put it in the Gram-a-Lam Ding Dong. Then we put it in the newsletter, which everyone that's listening to this subscribes to.
Wait, you better.
You better.
Yeah, get on that newsletter. There's some stuff on there.
We like to sneak some stuff in. So we've got a run of pedals coming up later this year. It's very exciting, and it's a tease because you can't see which ones it's going to be.
Yeah, you see some shapes, but if you're not on the newsletter and didn't get this one, then you can't see it. So sucks to be you. I guess.
When you sign up for a newsletter, you just those old ones are just you don't get them.
They're just dead.
That sucks.
Yeah,
they got to be a way that you could we could.
No, then people would have all the old coupons and all these ways to save on fantastic merchandise and Mythos pedals.
Long sold out.
But
there's a lot of vibes on this one. That's what we'll say. A lot of vibes.
And there's an aesthetic that we landed on that immediately when we saw it, we were like, that's it.
That's it.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
So that's it.
There you go.
Episode 8, Pedal Pushers. Give us a follow.
Give us a follow. You leave a voicemail about what you would do if you ran Gibson.
Yeah.
If you said, Cesar called you up and said, I just want to play guitar with Dave Mustaine all day.
Yeah.
You run Gibson. Call us up. Tell us what you would do.
take a mortal man.
Sweating bullets.
I don't like Megadeth.
Whoa! Shots fired.
I'm sorry.
Countdown to Extinction and Euthanasia. Those two records I love. I think there's some songs on the earlier eras, the classics, thrash era that I dig some of them, but I like those two records a lot. And that's kind of like, and actually, the two pop records that they did in the late 90s, because they followed Metallica's lead with Load Reload. They did, pretty poppy records, Cryptic Wings or Cryptic Writings. Is it Cryptic Writings?
I have no
idea. And then Risk. They had some good songs on there.
I just don't like Dave Mustaine's voice.
Yeah.
I like the guitar playing.
Sweating Bullets is great. That is some great.
Hello,
me, meet the real me.
Oh, that one.
That one's terrific.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a song. Wow. I'll listen to it on the way home. So.
Please do.
Well,
I think that's it for this week.
Yeah. Give us a follow, a like, a review, all the things. Okay.
Let's get out of here.
All right.